How's it going, everyone? We had the reviews for Stellar Blade get posted yesterday, and I would say the reviews were fairly positive towards the game. I mean, at the end of the day, it's sitting at an 82 on Metacritic, and I know while perception of review scores can be a little bit wild in terms of gaming, in my opinion, an 82 should be viewed positively, but that sometimes isn't the case in gaming. But there is a lot of pushback in regards to some of the reviews, particularly a few reviews, and I want to give my thoughts on some of it. Now, again, if you look at it from the top end, I had predicted that the game was going to settle in at around the high 70s to low 80s on Metacritic. That's not a hot take. This wasn't this Nostradamus pick by me. It was pretty easy to realize that that is where it was going to settle in at. I mean, it's a new IP done by a studio that isn't known for doing console games, and I was saying if they could settle in at a low 80, that would be incredibly successful, and a lot of you guys don't have one care in the world for Metacritic scores and critic reviews and everything like that, but obviously a lot of people do, and a lot of people took to social media in regards to some of the reviews. Now, I saw Video Gamer's review, and I read the whole review, and I thought the review was fine. They gave the game a 6 out of 10. The reviewer was Jack Webb, and I thought the review was fine. I know where people are pushing back on this review. Particularly, there were two paragraphs that were pretty much entirely about the sexualization of the game, and then when you have two paragraphs entirely dedicated to the sexualization of the game and then give the game a 6 out of 10, yeah, people are gonna focus in on that. But at the same time, they noted things like exploration is often unintuitive and tedious, reused boss fights and encounters, poor story, two-dimensional characters, and poor story and the lackluster characters is something that I've seen reiterated over and over again. Whatever. I didn't think Video Gamer's review was something to get up in arms about, and they're not the biggest publication in the world, and no slight to that. I thought the review was fine. And Video Gamer's review didn't gain like a ton of traction, but I did see people talk about it in social media and push back on it. But obviously, the biggest discussion is going to be around the IGN review. That is the review that I constantly see posted, and if you do go to Twitter, that is absolutely the one that people are pushing back at the most. In particular, if you look at IGN's review, the tweet of it, it's got 1,000 likes and it's got quite a few replies. 787 replies, and yeah, they are getting ratioed left and right when it comes to Twitter as far as their review of this game. And why I'm pointing out IGN's review is obviously Metacritic score is one thing. It's 82 out of 100. Perfectly fine score, like a really good score. An 82 out of 100 should be viewed as a really, really great score. Let us not lose that fact that an 82 is really good. But IGN, without a doubt, is the biggest video game publication on planet Earth. They are the ones that are gonna get the most retraction. They are the ones that are gonna get the most clicks. So even though all of the review scores aggregated end up in an 82, the IGN score is the score that a lot of people are gonna put value on. You can disagree with it, you can agree with it. That is the reality when you are as big of a platform as IGN. That's just it. And that's why when they give a game a 7 out of 10, it's gonna get a lot more traction than a lot of other places giving the games 8s, 9s, and even 10s. Perfect scores are being given out for Stellar Blade, but IGN is a behemoth of a platform, and their review scores, you can say what you want about them, that you completely disagree with them, that you vehemently disagree with them, that you think IGN is a lackluster outlet. You can make any point that you want, but in terms of notoriety, recognition, and attention, IGN is obviously gonna go and get a lot of attention, and not to mention, they actually circled back and they kind of pointed it out in one of their subsequent follow-up tweets as well. And yes, I would probably agree with them. 7 out of 10 should be viewed as a good score, but should and is two different things. It's not viewed as a good score by the large majority of consumers these days, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We'll get to it in a second, but again, the tweet that they put out noting that the review went live, a lot of tweets, one of them being, why do you hate women, 1.7k likes, opposed to the opening tweet having 1k likes. Were you able to make it past the tutorial, or did you get stuck on the air dash? So on and so forth. I really don't want to get into the weeds of this, and maybe I've talked about this over and over again, talking about Stellar Blade. I do know that there's quite a bit of people pushing back on social media, and they are getting some attention in terms of it portraying a female character incorrectly, which, by the way, Stellar Blade is not the first video game to have a female main character. It certainly isn't the first video game to have an attractive female character either. And while there are a lot of people that, you know, this dialogue exists online that, oh, this game is too sexualized, I truly do believe, guys, that is the minority that we are hyper focusing on. And if you have an issue with this game and how it portrays a character, by all means, have that opinion, so on and so forth. But I do think the reviews themselves should prioritize in fundamentally assessing the game in terms of its action, combat, its story, and IGN's review does assess a lot of those elements. The general elements that people are pushing back on are the story, the lackluster characters, and so on and so forth. But where I will personally push back on it, IGN tweeting out 7 means good with a screenshot saying Stellar Blade review, IGN gave it a 7. Here is the issue with that. 7, while you label it as good, we all know that that is not the case because IGN has nuked their own review scale, and I would say that the review scale in gaming has been nuked, whereas these days, and you could say that's a perception issue, you could say that that is a consumer issue of viewing review scores the way we do, but generally speaking, people view 8.5 and up. Truly, a lot of people view 9 and up being really great review scores, but I would say people look at an 8.5 and be like, alright, that game's pretty good. Once you get to the 8, bro, people view 8 as like a C-. That is literally how people view a flat 8 on video games these days, as a C-. Is that the way it should be? Absolutely not, but that is absolutely the case, and where I will push back on IGN, and I get it, it's not the same people reviewing all these games. Look at a game like Immortals of Aveum. They gave that game an 8 out of 10. Why is Immortals of Aveum a really good one to bring up? Because Immortals of Aveum is one of those games that had the major issue that Stellar Blade had. Horrendous characters and an awful story. Its gameplay was flashy, and I am one of those people that talk up Immortals of Aveum and say, hey, as a PlayStation Plus freebie, it's a game that you play. But once you give Immortals of Aveum an 8 out of 10, then we can easily circle back and be like, okay, you gave Immortals of Aveum an 8 out of 10 for its flashy gameplay, because that is truly the best part about Immortals of Aveum, and even then, I would say the gameplay can get quite a bit redundant. The story, okay, Stellar Blade has to have an awful story, a absolutely awful story, and I'm excited to see if it's that bad to be as bad as Immortals of Aveum from a narrative standpoint and a character standpoint. We'll see. I haven't played the game, so I can't tell you, but you gave Immortals of Aveum an 8. That's the issue when you're talking about the scale itself. When 7 means good, and I get it, maybe people shouldn't just hyper-focus on the score, and they should read the review. Bro, we live in a culture where TikTok is huge, YouTube Shorts is huge. You think people are gonna sit down and read an entire review or watch an entire YouTube video that's a 10-15 minute review? Yes, some people are gonna do that, but most people these days look at the score, they look at the Metacritic score, that's it. And that's the culture that we live in. So you have to have some sort of scale established that people do respect. And again, that's when people are gonna look at stuff like Immortals of Aveum getting an 8 when I played that game and I liked it more than most people, guys, and whenever I give that game a shout, a lot of you guys are like, stop recommending that garbage. I do think the gameplay of that game is incredibly flashy and enjoyable at times, but it legitimately had one of the worst narrative elements and some of the worst characters that I've legitimately ever seen in a video game. That is not hyperbole, I am not making that up. What I said about Immortals of Aveum, that if that game took out all of the cutscenes, if it took out everything story related, I think that game would have been received way better and you could have priced it lower. That's one thing, but that's where I will say is the major issue when you have a game like this getting a 7, but that is where I think a major issue lies, and I only bring this up because IGN tweeted it out as well, saying 7 means good. You're putting focus now onto your review scale. This is on you now, since you are putting attention to it. You can say go read the review, you can say go read the review in entirety, but now you're also bringing up the review score, and they are responding to a tweet, to be fair, somebody saying what's 7 on the review mean, but is IGN responding to tweets all the time? I mean, this seems like one that they're responding to based on the pushback that their review in particular got. So that's my 2 cents on it. Again, when we talk about the elements about lackluster review scores based on Eve's portrayal in the game, I don't think that's a real thing, and maybe, like, some of you guys think that that is a real thing. I'm giving them a benefit. I don't have that little faith in humanity that they're just looking to dock the review score of the game based on their own perception of the portrayal of Eve in the game. I don't think that's the case. I really, really don't, and if that is the case, that's just kind of humorous if nothing else. Like, why are you even, like, you shouldn't even be playing the game at that point, because we all knew that Eve was designed as an attractive character, that was gonna be one of the layers of the game. If that makes you that uncomfortable to docking review scores in a hypothetical world where that exists, because I truly believe believe that it doesn't. And again, maybe that's me giving too much credit. And at that point, I don't know, maybe don't even play the game, because it's not like it came out of left field that, you know, Eve was an attractive character and the game had a sexualized layer to it. But again, I'm not gonna be the best person equipped to talk about something like this. I gave you guys my opinion, and truth be told, I don't do reviews. I've done a few reviews in the past, but I don't regularly do them because I am not well equipped to do reviews. I can't meticulously break down games at that level. In this video, I wanted to articulate the point of the review scale has been completely blown up, and that's why when you hyper-focus on, oh, 7 means good, you can say 7 means good in your scale, but that perception is not real. Very few gamers these days, at least from an IGN review score, look at a 7 and be like, oh yeah, IGN thinks that game is good or really good or whatever. That's just not reality when you're giving some of the other games, you know, 7s and 8s and so on and so forth. I think Alien Isolation got a 4, said that one was a little bit wild, and I think everybody knows that that one is a little bit wild. But again, that's when you're putting so much attachment to the review score itself, and you also have to remember, not everybody on IGN is the same person. I do think that exists as well. The same person isn't reviewing every single game. They've got different reviewers, and sometimes your opinions may align with one reviewer, another reviewer might be handling a different game that your opinions don't align with, so on and so forth. Which does kind of make the review scale in general a little bit crazy, because you've got multiple people trying to follow the review scale, but everybody is going to perceive that review scale differently. So when you have a review scale that multiple people are utilizing, that's inherently going to be a little bit of a problem as well. That's why I come back to, people do have to read the reviews themselves, and if you want to meticulously break down points made in a review, that's one thing, but that's generally not what happens. What does happen is people look at the score and then push back on the score and then, you know, say various things. Right or wrong, I do think that's the bulk of the pushback, when they do see a 7 out of 10 and they more so disagree with the review score rather than the particular points made in the review. But those are my 2 cents. That is my single-digit IQ take. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, because there's been a lot of discussion around it, and there was a lot of discussion around Stellar Blade and its potential review score leading up to its release, and now after it comes out, I don't think it's been more vitriolic than I expected it to be. Like, I expected there to be quite a bit of discussion, and certainly with the lesser reviews, I had it in the back of my mind that a lot of people are going to paint those lesser reviews to some of the elements of the game as far as the portrayal of Eve, and that's exactly what happened. This should be seen as a surprise by absolutely nobody, because if I can expect something like this to happen, anybody that can utilize a single brain cell should be able to see it happen. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.